Happy Monday to you all out there. Welcome into another episode of the OBR Mock Draft Duel here on the OBR Streaming Network. If you're checking us out, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Hope you enjoyed Quinster Carrier live right before us. We are not live, so this is streaming live. You're seeing it live. This was recorded on Sunday about 6 o'clock. So if anything's happened since then, we don't know about it. I'm sorry. I'm also sorry that I can't answer your questions. I will personally try to jump into the chat as I can. I'm your host, Jacob, joined by Mr. Bill Sparks. I'll let him do his intro here in just a second. Joining me and a co-host with Sam Penix out. So, Bill, just, let everybody know where they can find you real quick before we jump into this.
Yes, you can find all of my content over on X at Sparks Scouting. Also a writer and analyst for TWSN. That's the Right Way Sports Network, TWSN.net. Cover all things NFL draft, NFL with a focus towards the Browns. You can also catch me over on the Draft Professors. That's NFL Draft Fanatic, no I in Fanatic on YouTube.com. On the Mrs. Are Relevant weekly podcast. That's Wednesday nights at 8:30, where we cover all things draft there. But you can find a majority of it over on X at Sparks Scouting. Feel free to come give me a follow and tell me how wrong I am on a daily basis.
I do. So I tell him
all the time. You pinged me before we started. You're wrong. Just wrong. I hadn't even made a take yet. And you said I was wrong. I was like, sure.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know
the math is mathing, I guess. I don't know what I was wrong about this time, but yeah, sure, you got it.
You see my new shirt? This is my gym shirt. You see my shirt here?
Nice. It's all about the gains, man.
This is Swolemander. All right. So we want to start. The Joe Flacco news has happened since the last time I recorded with Sam last Monday. Well, it's last Sunday. But so the Flacco is here. So we wanted to touch on that just briefly. Both of us kind of how does that affect their draft plans? Does it affect their draft plans? How does it affect 2025, 2026? All those good things. So we'll dive right into it. Bill, I'll serve it up to you, man. Does this affect their draft plans? Is it a major effect, a minor, or, just kind of where do you feel about that?
I think it affects their draft plans in the same way that Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson affects the Giants draft plans. You now have the chance to go in at pick number 2 overall and pick who you feel is your guy. Whereas before, your quarterback room was Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson, which I don't foresee him coming back. That's a whole nother discussion for another show. But now with Flacco and Pickett, you can now go to pick number 2 overall and say, if you love Shedeur Sanders and he's your guy, you take him. But if you're not sold on him, you don't have to take him as a quarterback. You're not pigeonholed into that. You can now truly pick who you think's the best fit for this team. Jacob, how do you feel about that Flacco news?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same situation where I sit here and I go, there was always going to be a play about this. Like at some point they were going to bring in a veteran that could do 2 things. One, be the starter / push Kenny Pickett for the chance to start. Because I think that's the reality is Kenny Pickett's got a great chance of becoming the starter week 1. You don't have to agree with that, but that is reality right now. We'll see if the draft changes it. Honestly, because of the way I view these draft prospects, I don't think the draft changes it. I think it's get all those arms in there, and whoever the best one is the week 1 starter, whether that's Flacco, a rookie, or Kenny Pickett. But it also kind of gives you that chance where you're like, now I've got the pressure to take a quarterback that's ready isn't there in my mind. Mm-hmm. Like, that's where it becomes, because we've talked about this with Shedeur especially. He's the guy that him and Cam Ward are the ones that I think are the most pro-ready. I can make an argument for Will Howard because he started a bunch of games and that sort of thing, but he doesn't quite have the physical tools that some of these other guys have. But if you're like, man, I want Jalen Milroe, or I really like Jackson Dart. I know he's only a 1-read RPO quarterback right now, but the physical traits are there. If I can put him in this scheme behind a guy like Joe Flacco could teach Jackson Dart some stuff. Like I feel like that would be a really good mentorship there. But if you're feeling that, you're now feeling a lot better about bringing one of those guys in here and just being able to be like, okay, I don't feel the pressure to be like, all right, because if you take Milroe 33 and Kenny Pickett and say it's just somebody like DTR, say DTR was still here, a guy that is just a guy, you're now really thinking about starting Jalen Milroe. Like that would have been the case in my mind. So I always thought there was going to be kind of a guy that can come in here and kind of be the starter week one, or take the pressure off of you trying to make someone be a starter week one that shouldn't be a starter week one, I guess is where I'm at. So in general, does it affect it a lot? Not really. But it's one of those awesome things that it's taking some pressure off of these picks, because you feel you're fine if Joe Flacco starts. Like you feel fine with that. I'm gonna be honest with you. The further I get away from it, from the signing, and the further I get away from the Indy, just what was just a really weird season for the Colts. Like it was weird. Yeah. And people talk about Flacco being bad. I don't even know that he was that bad. I mean, I go back and I look at some of that stuff. He had like some of the best completion percentage of his career, and 13 touchdowns, 7 picks. I mean, he wasn't great, but he was about what he was in Cleveland, to be completely honest. Like in terms of the numbers, they looked about like they did in Cleveland. They just didn't have the defense Cleveland had, and they weren't able to overcome some of the mistakes the way Cleveland could overcome the mistakes when they were there. So I like this. And by the day, I like it even more. It was never going to be sexy, Bill. You and I have talked about this a million times. The quarterback move was never going to be sexy, but it was a solid move. And Andrew Berry loves to go into the draft not needing to force things. So now you don't have to, you're going to get a quarterback. You just don't have to force it at a certain spot. If you want to wait and see if Shedeur falls to the 20s, if you want to wait and just take Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe, whichever one falls to 33, because I think one of them probably gets there. Or you just want to load up on a bunch of talent. And you're like, I'm gonna get Travis Hunter, the wide receiver. I'm gonna get Mason Taylor. I'm gonna get Travion Henderson. I want to load up on all this, and I just want to take Kyle McCord day 3 and see if he can kind of show something. If not, boom, draft. I'm going hard after a quarterback in 2026, and they feel like Joe Flacco could lead them to the playoffs in that time. And so that's kind of where it is. Where I think it was just like it was the right move. I think it was a good move.
And the one thing you didn't mention that it always gets talked about, Browns are going to trade for Kirk Cousins. $13 million if he hits all incentives, $30 million out the door for Kirk Cousins.
Period.
That's all I gotta say.
He got what, like 3 or 4 is what Flacco got guaranteed or something like that?
Yeah, 4 guaranteed, $13 million if he hits every single incentive. And I think there's some in there like playoffs and AFC title game, which I don't expect it. If he hits it, great, cool, awesome. I'll pay you $13 million. I'll write the check myself right now.
You go to the AFC Championship, I'm very happy to pay all of those incentives.
Exactly.
Real quick, we're going to dive here into our mocks now, but real quick, I'm doing a charity fundraiser for an autism charity, Culture City. You can email me for details. It's on the screen right here. $5 donation goes straight to the charity. Then you'll email me. It's a first round challenge, so you're trying to predict the first round of the NFL draft. So you'll pay the $5 donation on the GoFundMe page. Send me an email. I can send you all these links and stuff, and then you'll send me like a first round mock. This is who I predict. The winner's going to get some draft merch of their choice. But I'm going to do something probably crazy on X this week and be like, hey, if we hit this number by this day, I'll do something really stupid on the internet. So if you want to help out a cool charity and show how smart you are when it comes to your draft knowledge, please hit me up. The email is on the screen there below. We'll touch on it at the end. Bill, I'm going to give it to you, man. Let's get this thing rolling.
All right. Let's kick it off. So obviously there is always the conversation when you're picking this high, is there a trade down? You and I talked about it before we went on the show. I think there's about a 5 to 8% chance that they could trade down. If they get a Godfather offer, someone wants to come up for Abdul Carter or Travis, they're going to entertain it. But in this case, I'm not going to entertain it. So now we're sticking and picking it too. and again, we talked about this before the show kicked off. I think right now it is going to depend on who's in control in terms of making that selection, because I truly believe that Andrew Berry prefers Travis Hunter and Kevin Stefanski prefers Shedeur Sanders. Now, that's not to say if they pick one or the other, there's going to be some large divide in the front office. I think one or the other is going to be pretty disappointed, but they're still like him. It'd be like if you looked at Andrew Berry's board, it's Hunter Sanders, and you looked at Stefanski's board, it's Sanders Hunter.
Yeah.
So all that being said, I am going to go with Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback here at number 2 overall. Has the accuracy, can throw with timing, anticipation, would fit this scheme very well. And the big thing that's not stressed is the offensive line at Colorado was just rough, and they didn't have much of a run game behind him. So you give Sanders the offensive line in Cleveland, which is better than Colorado, and the run game, which is better than Colorado, you're definitely going to get top 16 quarterback play from Sanders, in my opinion. And that's realistically what this team needs to be a playoff contender. Now, obviously, if you're not sold on him because of the arm strength, I understand it. Even though his arm strength can make every NFL level throw, it just flutters on deeper passes. You knock Sanders for it, keep that same energy with Jackson Dart too, because watch that LSU game and that Florida game, it did the same thing to him. So, but ultimately, I would go Sanders, but I wouldn't be mad in going the other route.
Yeah, and I totally get it. Like I've said this before, that like Sanders wouldn't be my choice at 2, but I get the vision. I get the appeal. I see how it works with Kevin. I see all of that stuff when we're talking about it. I'd take him if he's there a little bit later. That's what I'm going to try to see what happens in mine and see if I can get aggressive and go up for him. But I totally get it. And he's in such a very interesting situation with Flacco. I think that would be I'm very intrigued by the possibilities of how that would play out. I'm going to go the other route, the route that I think they're leaning. If I had gun to my head right now and you said you got to put some money on who they're going to go with, I think it's going to be Travis Hunter. And I think I hear what you say, and I agree with you, because I think that but I think it's so close where it's just going to be like, hey, Kevin, we're going to go with Travis. And I think he'd be like, okay. Yep. Like, it'd just be like, okay, I get the best wide receiver and arguably the best corner in this class. I'm going to get both of them. And then we just kind of figure it out, man. You just figure it out. I think his primary role in Cleveland is as a wide receiver, just solely based on Andrew Berry's comments, and he could be a lockdown corner. I'm just saying, like, this is a generational player. We've never seen somebody do this shit. Mm-hmm. So having him on your roster, I'm just not going to be upset about it. So I'm going to see if Shedeur goes 3, and if not, yeah, he did. All right, so I don't care.
And I think that's what's going to happen. There's a lot of smoke about him falling to 9 to 15. Todd McShay talked about it on his show, falling all the way to 15. I don't think he gets out of the top 10. If the Giants don't take him at 3, there's a lot of love for him in New York. At the Jets at 7, the Saints at 9. We just saw what they happened with Derek Carr, and now they're rolling out Spencer Rattler, which for folks that are saying that's okay, they can tank it out and come back in 2027. I just don't see how you can, in good faith, roll Spencer Rattler out when he led you to a top 10 pick this year. So, yeah, but I don't see him falling out of the top 10, and that's why you got to take him at 2. But I think you're right. I think either way they go, if they go Hunter at 2, Stefanski's going to say, sure, okay, I'll get my guy at 33 and we'll keep it moving. So, but
he's going to be like, I can work with that.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And Jim Schwartz will be happy too, because he has another cornerback to throw at defenders.
A ball hawk that he's when he's in off coverage, and I know the Browns have that's one thing. He makes the Browns off coverage, zone coverage significantly better. And this is something that gets brought up about him a lot, that he's a zone corner, not a man corner. That doesn't mean he can't play man coverage. I think he can play man coverage. It's not his strong suit, and he's much better playing off coverage because, dude, I wrote this up. All that dude wants to do is bait you into a throw. That's He was like, oh, I'm not paying attention.
And then just a quick trigger and boom.
Because he's a freak. He's a freaking
Yeah.
athlete and so explosive. He's just boom, pick six. You're like, oh, well, that sucks. So,
right. And the other thing with it too, one thing that Andrew Berry loves, and you and I have talked about it, is being versatile in this draft. Yeah. You take Hunter, Newsom's now movable, Emerson's now movable. If somebody calls you up and says, hey, I'll give you a top 100 pick for Greg Newsome,
yeah,
I'd jump on it.
Yeah,
but I'd jump on it. But yeah, so here at pick 33, so obviously I got my quarterback. There's a couple of trade offers. Obviously the Dolphins are trying to come up for someone, but I want this to be a little bit realistic. I'm going to stick and pick. And where I'm going Omarion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina, who I don't think is going to get out of round one. But if he's there at 33, by all accounts, I'm going to take him and run. This is a guy, downhill, north-south runner, violent at the point of attack. In addition, can be very functional in the passing game. My comp for him is Joseph Adai with shades of Todd Gurley. And if I can take that at pick 33, you can give me that all day and twice on Sunday.
I like the Adai. I hadn't. I'd heard the Todd Gurley one. I hadn't heard the Adai one before, and that one's, oh, God, I love Omar. I will say that, and I think he's a. See, Jack KC took my guy. I loved when Josh, but I don't think Josh Connerly will get past them. Like that's what I ultimately think. If you're me, look here, Omarion Hampton went to the Vikings. I love that.
Ooh,
I love that.
Every part of that. I don't think he gets out of round one. Honestly, and this is probably in hot take territory, I don't think he gets out of the top 10. I think Chicago. I think if Janty goes 6, Chicago's going to run the card up for Hampton at 10.
Yeah. There's a bunch of places I can very feasibly see him. Okay, so on the board here, I'm going to go quarterback here. I'm going to go people that know me know I'm very low on Jackson Dart. I don't think the Browns are. Bill, you know this as good as anyone. The buzz from the Combine, the buzz from the Senior Bowl, the NFL likes Jackson Dart way more than any of us do. And one thing I will say about that is you will see situations like this when people have the tools. And that's because NFL teams are always going to believe in their ability to develop players. So if you're like, hey, here's this player that has an incredibly high ceiling, he has all of this talent in the world, and he's going to be able to do all of these things. If he reaches it, most NFL teams are going to go, awesome. I'm going to coach this guy up, and I'm going to get a superstar. Dart's got the arm, and he's got the athleticism. He's accurate. He's quick in terms of rhythm and timing, as long as you don't force him off his read. Because like once he gets off his first or second read, it starts to crumble a little bit. And that's some stuff. He's still 21 years old, all this stuff. He's lower on my board. He's like 70th on my big board or something like that. He's quarterback. I have Milroe and Howard, as you can see here, higher. They're higher on PFF's board. They're higher on my board than Jackson Dart as well. Well, Howard's literally like 69 and Jackson Dart's 70. So it's not, they're kind of both right there. Yeah, it's the high floor versus high ceiling. Which one you want there. So ultimately, I think the Browns are going to take a gamble on Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart has a similar play style to Joe Flacco. I think can be a really awesome play action quarterback, which is what we saw Joe Flacco be for the Browns in 23. So I think it's a really nice pairing, a really nice situation for the future. And even though I am lower on Jackson Dart than a lot of people, I don't think the Browns are. And I think they would love to have Travis Hunter and Jackson Dart, especially with Joe Flacco on the team.
Absolutely. And I'm with you. I am lower on Jackson Dart to the point where he does not even get a top 100 grade from me. There's a lot of issues, and Dan Orlovsky covered him great on ESPN as well. And I've shared him on my page as well. There's a lot of times where he has just jaw-dropping throws, and it's like, wow, that hit. And then the very next play, he just completely crumbles like an oatmeal raisin cookie and throws it into quadruple coverage.
Yeah.
And just melts down.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And I think if he landed in Cleveland with where we're at now with Flacco and Pickett, where he would be QB3, I would be okay with that at 33. Yeah. I would not be okay with that in the first round.
Yeah, I don't want to. I said this last week. The only guy that I want to go up for is Shadur. He's the only one that I would go up for is if he gets into the 20s, because that's where I have him. I have him ranked 23rd or 24th on my board. I can't remember, but one of those two. And so if he falls in that range, I mean, that's exactly what my board tells me is that's the range of him. So, but if Jackson Dart's, but if those other guys are at 33 and I don't have to give up assets to go get them, well, let's have a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, Shadur's 14th on my board, and I place a quarterback premium. So if they took a 14th overall prospect at 2, am I upset? No, because Cam Ward is my 8th overall player, and he's going to go number 1. It's just how the nature of quarterbacks is. So here at 67, I'm going to go with a guy who had some really big hype going into the post-draft season and then fell off at the combine because of his testing, which wasn't the greatest. But there's some smoke around him again to the point where I've heard top 50 buzz on him again.
Do it.
It's Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end from Bowling Green. You watch him, he gets open. He's like a 7-Eleven. He is always open. No matter where you are in the world, he is open. And yes, does he look clunky when he transitions from catch to run? Yes. Is his testing not as great as other tight ends in this class? Yes. Can he produce against top level competition? Yes. Give me that. Oh, by the way, he's not even 21 years old.
Yeah.
Hasn't even hit the peak of his development cycle yet. Give me him as a tight end 2 next to Njoku, and you could use him in a fullback and a power slot in the Stefanski offense. I'm going to take that all day at 67 and run it.
Here's the thing about Harold Fannin that I always come back to. I always say if you're a small school player, you need to dominate the small school for me to be impressed, which he did. He was there. I say that I've said this a million times whenever we talk about Harold Fannin on this channel, and that is if he was their offense. Everyone knew it. Everyone knew the offense went through their big tight end, and they couldn't do a damn thing to stop it.
Nope.
He had, what did he have? 120 receptions or some ridiculous number. Yes. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was. Let me pull it up here.
I got it.
I believe it was north of 120.
117. So he had 117 catches on 150 targets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm on the board here at 67. We've got our wide receiver. We've got our quarterback. I like to look still at weapons. I think this is a good spot for Elijah Arroyo, the tight end out of Miami. You can see kind of some points on him, just turned 21 or 22 years old. Kind of this write-up here from Trevor Sikkema at PFF. His movement skills are above average, straight line speed, quickly flips his hips, running routes, earning yards after catch, all that stuff. He's a receiver that needs refinement as a blocker. That's exactly what we said about the last guy that came out of that school that played that position that they drafted, who's now one of the best blocking tight ends in football. I've got a write-up on Elijah Arroyo with film coming out Tuesday morning on the OBR. So if you're watching this, it might be Tuesday by the time you're watching this. So that write-up might already be up. I really like Elijah Arroyo. That's Casey Kinnaman's guy. He turned me on to him. At first I had him like 4th, 5th round, but man, him vertically down the seam is silly. And we know that Joe Flacco loves them down the seam tight ends. He loves them some tight ends down the seam using their speed. I think he's got the athleticism and the speed. I think he's got the power profile to be a blocker. I think he just doesn't know how to do it. And you get that with a lot of tight ends. He's had some injury issues that have held him back. Only one real breakout year. I know that sucks. I know how that feels, but I'm willing to take that chance in the third round because I'm getting a player that I think deserves to be a top 50 pick. I think he's a top 50 talent. I'm getting him here at 67. I don't think I have him in my top 50, but I think that's how good he is. He can be there. And I think Travis Hunter and Elijah Arroyo, and you're starting to add to this room for Joe Flacco / Jackson Dart in the future. So load up on talent offensively. And I just give me another. He's just another playmaker, man. They just didn't have enough. They just didn't have enough last year.
And that's it. I like Arroyo as a playmaker. I like him as an athletic seam tight end. The one thing that scares the living daylights out of me is his knee injury history, a torn ACL that kept him out 2 seasons. Then at the end of this season, everybody, that was one of his biggest knocks. And then what happens? He goes to the Senior Bowl and bruises his knee. And then now he's out for the combine. So it's like red alarms going off. I think if he's healthy, he's probably one of the best pass catching seam tight ends in this class. I have him right now at 78th on my board and Fannin at 77th. They are neck and neck. So you'll get no argument from me from Arroyo. I just want him to be healthy.
Yep.
So, all right. So pick 94 here. I am going to go for the first defensive selection of this draft. Need a safety next to Delpit. Would prefer a center fielder, kind of very athletic type of guy. It's Andrew Makuba from Texas, just sideline to sideline guy. Reminds me of a guy who just got paid a little bit in free agency, Javon Holland, when you look at Makuba. And if you slot that next to Delpit, you've got corners in Ward, Newsome, Emerson, Delpit, Makuba on that back end, plus the edge rush depth up front. This defense is looking even stronger by the day.
Yeah, I like that. That's what I'll say. I'll say I like that. The Saints thought it would be funny to take my guy RJ Harvey 1 pick before I got on the clock. It pissed me off good and mad there. Oladejo is an interesting name. Olufemi Oladejo, the pass rusher from UCLA. Similar trajectory to what we got out of Abdul Carter. Just switched from off-ball linebacker to edge rusher. Had a pretty productive season down there. The pass rush run rate was only 10.6%. You're really betting me, but he's got the 7 sacks, and you're really, really betting on the upside here. I like him a lot here. But do I like him? I don't like him more than Charles Grant. And now I just can't stop putting Charles Grant at the 94th overall pick. He's not going to play left tackle for you right away. Give him some time. But what an athlete. Here's the thing. I think technically footwork and some of his hand stuff, I think is really good. I think he's just going to have to, it's not necessarily he's going to have to learn how to be a better blocker, so to speak. He's just going to have to be able to understand the speed increase of going from William and Mary to the NFL. And I think that's where he needs his time, because honestly, I think he's got the frame. He's got the frame to add about 15 to 20 pounds. If he can add about 15, 20 pounds, get him a little bit more, ass in the block, I think, I think you could have a left tackle for a while. His movement skills and just overall just body of work and tools just scream left tackle for me.
100%. No, I like him. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the level of competition concern, because he didn't really dominate while at William and Mary. And just like you, I have to see you dominate at a lower level if I'm really going to show interest in you. But he did show up and show out very well in the post-draft circuit at the Senior Bowl as well, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but pick 104. I'm going to go a little bit of a different path. I don't think this guy will be here. I think he's going to go higher than I have him graded and higher than what he should. I think the league is significantly higher on him. You're going to need a creative play caller to unlock him. 100%. With how raw he is a route runner, you will need a creative play caller to unlock him. That being said, Kevin Stefanski's a pretty creative play caller. Give me Savion Williams from TCU at wide receiver. And now I have a big body on the outside who can run a vertical go route. Joe Flacco says, hey, I'm going to throw it 70 yards. Go get it. And that's what Savion Williams is going to do. Or he can take a jet sweep off the side with 4.4 speed and just turn and go and take it right to the house.
And we know how that.
Yeah, and we know how that works. Yes, he's raw as a route runner, but if you've got the ability to open up the remainder of his game, this is Cordero Patterson 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
All right, so I'm going to do the Andrew Berry defensive time for a corner pick here, just because I want to change up some of the things that I've been doing here for a little bit. I like Jacob Parrish a ton. The projecting as a slot defender, you may need to be changing it. You may need to be replacing Greg Newsome. And if getting Travis Hunter means you moved Greg Newsome, well, maybe Jacob Parrish, really good athlete, really fluid, good athleticism. I like the speed and the range. I think he's physical as a run defender. I don't think he can play outside at the next level. But he's a reliable tackler, short area quickness and burst and agility, really fluid with his hips. Dave Brugler has been talking him up for a little while as well. I know we got the corner. This is the debate. Like, if you take Travis Hunter, do you still draft a guy that's just a corner and a guy that's just a wide receiver? I kind of think you do.
Yeah.
I kind of think you do. And anyway, Travis Hunter's not going to be in a slot. Jacob Parrish is. So I like him if he's there at 104. It wouldn't shock me to be like, I'm going to get a new slot corner here, and then that way, because you don't get forced into anything with Greg Newsome because you have a guy that can replace him.
100%. So, pick 179. I'm going to go off the beaten path a little bit, but this is a guy I am much higher on than the consensus. He is in my top 100. With his play style, he plays a lot like Reggie Bush did at USC. Mm-hmm. Electric, fast, good in the backfield in terms of pass catching. Yes, we took Omarion Hampton at 33, but this class is so deep that if someone took 2 running backs, I would not be shocked. And right now, the only ones we've rostered are Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong. In this scenario, we're going to go back to the running back well once again. Give me Jaden Blue from Texas. 4.38 speed, can turn it and burn it. And I've got Omarion Hampton as a power back. I now have an effective running back rotation that takes all of the pressure off of Shadur Sanders.
Yeah. So I haven't gone running back yet. So that's actually where I'm going to look here to try to make the job easier here. There's a lot of criticism you can throw his way that's valid. I still think it's criminal that that Kyle Manung guy from Rutgers probably goes around here, around the 6th round, around pick 170, maybe around 200, something like that. Maybe he gets a little bit higher. I think it's a little criminal to me. Like I say this on here. I talk about guys that are looking to take souls. That's what Kyle Manung guy is doing. He's going to run right on through you. So that puts you in an interesting position. I think he can complement the skill set of Jerome Ford pretty well, because if you get used to kind of Jerome Ford's kind of a little slippery, got some good acceleration. And when he gets a clear path, he can take it. And you start doing that. And then all of a sudden you throw a Kyle Manung guy in there and he's just like right to your chest. And I just think that
straight through.
Short yardage, red zone, stuff like that. You've got that stuff covered with Kyle Manung guy. So I'll take him here at 179.
Love it. Again, you hit the nail on the head. Violent, looking to take people's souls. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go with a guy who can block out the sun when he is a first off the bus type of guy. 6'8", 339, 34 and 7/8 inch arms. When you dominate at the Ivy League level and then go to the Big 12, which is a predominantly passing league, and continue to dominate, you get a vote of confidence from me. Give me Jalen Travis, the tackle from Iowa State. I think ultimately his size probably puts him at right tackle, just because of, obviously, he's not a natural knee bender and pass protection. A little bit in terms of foot quickness, a little bit slower with mirroring quicker edge rushers. So putting him on the right tackle hides a lot of those. If they developed him as a left tackle, would I be mad? Absolutely not. Because again, 6'8", 339 with almost 35-inch arms all day and 3 times over on Tuesday. Give me Jalen Travis here.
I'm going to go a little bit of a wrench here. And a guy I listened to Todd McShay kind of talk about today on one of his podcasts from last week, Jordan Hancock, the safety corner from Ohio State. And the reason I say that is they started playing him more deep as a safety through towards the end of the year. Because you can see he primarily was a slot defender. He still played 400 snaps as a slot defender, but then he gets the 200 deep safety snaps. I think, 6'1", 195. I think he's got the athleticism. I think he's got the physicality. I think he's got the football IQ. I think he's really smart. I think he does a really good job of diagnosing and processing what he sees in front of him. And I like him better as a safety, being a kind of a deep center fielding safety, just because that short area burst and explosion isn't as good as I want it to be for him to live in the slot. He can live in the slot, but I do think that it gives him great range back there as a deep safety. And I thought he got really good, really looked better down the stretch. They started playing him as safety. So I'm drafting Jordan Hancock to play free safety.
I love it. I've also seen him mocked into some nickel situations as well. So again, if you're going Travis Hunter, you put him as a boundary and then you use Jordan Hancock as your nickel guy and you call it a night. So here we are in round 6, pick 200. I know I just took Jalen Travis, but I'm going to go back to the tackle well. And I'm going to go with a guy you and I, Jacob, we've talked over on the Mrs. R Relevant podcast on NFL Draft Fanatic, no I in Fanatic over on YouTube. HBCU prospect who has some of the most violent hands in this class. And I'm shocked that we haven't heard more broken ribs from people who've went up against him. Give me Carson Vinson from Alabama A&M here. And just athletic, violent hands, has the ability to get to the second level quickly, just punches people through their chest immediately. With Travis and Vinson, I now have a developmental tackle rotation behind Lucas, Conklin, and Jones to where if age and injuries catch up, I can slot either one of them in and we don't have to have practice squad guys taking snaps at left tackle in 2025.
Boy, would that be something. Anyway, I'm looking to shore up this pick. I'm kind of looking to shore up the interior of the defensive line a little bit. Here's a guy that I really didn't get to until late, and that's Jared Harrison Hunt, the defensive tackle from SMU. I want to see his splits, but you will see. Yeah, he plays some over the tackle. They give him a little bit outside the tackle, but he's kind of a guy that like to move around a little bit. This year, and end up being his best year. He just sits around. They have listed at 298. He's more of a pass rusher, quick first step, really gets his hands and gets in your face, wants to get physical. Quick first step, it allows him, he can kind of do some dip and rip, but there's just some good bull rush there. And I also think he can do a decent job defending the run. He's more, like I said, more of a pass rusher, but you're getting over a 10% pass rush win rate from him. Which is kind of where I want those interior rushers to be. You feel pretty good about that. So I'm going to take him, and I think kind of shores up that defensive tackle rotation.
Love it. He's a guy that's very slept on. You hit the nail on the head, and I think Harrison Hunt's going to probably find himself much higher on draft day because teams are going to salivate over what he can be, not what he is now, which is also very raw, which is also kind of where I'm going to go with this pick. So I'm going to go with a guy at 6'2", 267, fits a perfect 4'3" edge size, 22 sacks over the last 2 seasons in the Mountain West, productive as all get out, 32 tackles for loss in that same 2-season stretch. Give me Ahmed Hassanein from Boise State. Tryon Shoyinka is the last year in a 1-year deal. McGuire, Wright, Ogbo, Garrett, Hassanine. That's 6 edge rushers. That is a hockey line defensive edge room that you can now just throw out there and just continually rotate guys in and out with Makuba and Delpit on the back end. Schwartz would do backflips if he gets Hassanine here at 216.
Yeah, he would be very happy with that combination. I'm going to go with a wide receiver. I'm going to add a little bit more pop here. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Elijah Badger, man. The pass catcher from Florida who plays bigger than he is. It's like a contested catch rate of like 70% or something stupid. 4.4 speed. Yeah, and I don't know if it was how many opportunity. Yeah, 11 contested catch conversions, which was good for 68.8%. And then, of course, the 0% drop rate when you're talking about a guy that had 61 targets. But I just think he's a nice physical wide receiver, but he's also got 4.4 speed. So you're looking at this guy and you're like, hey, you can do a little bit of everything. You just haven't put it together consistently. And it's like, all right, cool. I've got Travis Hunter at the top of this room. You're going to fight it out with like David Bell and probably Michael Woods and guys like that. You're going to fight in those guys for a roster spot, but you got some traits. That's what I'm looking for this late in the draft. Give me some guys, some characteristics, some trait that you've got that I can do something with and go from there.
Love to see it. So final pick for me, 255. I'm sure that people will be rational when I make this selection and not just completely murder the comment section. But when you can make 86% of your kicks over a 4-year span, including 75% from 50 plus over the last 2 years, and set a school record for points at the University of Miami, I'm going to take it and stash it in the hopes that either A, I use you as trade bait in the future, or B, if Dustin Hopkins doesn't return to form, I've got a solution. Andres Andy Borregales, the kicker from Miami, is a Cleveland Brown.
Okay. All right. I'm okay with it, but I know that there's the comments are not going to be.
The comments are just going to be, there's going to be, it's going to be insane. But it's pick 255, and you get him, and you don't have to worry about trying to bid for him in a UDFA and overpay situation. You get your guy where you like.
It's like I don't really care at that point, personally. We'll figure it out. I'm going to take Timothy McKay, the guard from North Carolina State here, a guy that'll probably be a practice squad guy who will compete for a spot. He's played significant snaps at right guard and right tackle for North Carolina State. So looking at a guy like this late in the draft, I find a guy and you're like, hey, this guy's played inside, outside. Let him have a chance to be kind of that first call up from the practice squad kind of situation and just battle it out for an offensive line that just didn't have the depth that it ended up needing last year at times. Really at just one position. Last year, it was basically just the one position. So, Bill, right before we wrap this thing up here, give you a shot to give us your rundown.
Yeah, so obviously at number 2 overall, you get your quarterback and Shedeur Sanders. You know, can he be the franchise guy? Stefanski and Barry are betting on that. Then you surround him with excellent talent. Omarion Hampton, a powerful north-south runner. Harold Fannin Jr., an excellent pass-catching tight end. Savion Williams, a vertical deep threat wide receiver. Jaden Blue, speedster, good pass catcher out of the backfield. Oh, by the way, Shedeur Sanders is going to get 2 developmental tackles on the left and right side, and Jalen Travis and Carson Vinson. But we can't ignore the defense, giving Andrew Makuba, safety opposite Grant Delpit, and a rotational edge piece in Ahmed Hassanine makes Schwartz happy. And then, of course, we got to show some love to special teams and take probably the best kicker in this class, and Andres Borregales. We hit the draft on all 3 levels here.
Hit all through there, man. I love it. I took Travis Hunter, the unicorn, at number 1. A guy I'm not super high on, but I think the Browns in the NFL are. Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback. Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami. Charles Grant, kind of a little bit of a developmental tackle from William and Mary, just, looking for that jump up. Jacob Parrish, who can double as our slot corner of the future because when I take Travis Hunter, I still feel like taking a guy that's just a corner and a guy that's still a wide receiver because I think that's where they are at those positions. Colin Munungai, the running back from Rutgers, to run through your chest. Jordan Hancock made that switch late in the season to safety. I think he's a really good free safety. Another guy that can slide into their slot corner, though, because that's what he was primarily during his career. Jared Harrison Hunt, the pass rushing defensive tackle from SMU. Elijah Badger, the big contested catch 4-4 guy, just hasn't put it together, but has a tremendous amount of tools. And then Timothy McKay, who's played some right guard and some right tackle, giving you a little bit more versatility, competing for the depth on this defensive line. Thank you guys so very, very much, or those offensive line, very much for tuning in here. We have one more episode next week before the draft, so I can't believe it because we started this show right after the draft, and I'm like, I'm going to do all these mock draft shows, and it's like I've done a bazillion mocks with you guys. Appreciate you so very much. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, give me that thumbs up. Email me. Here's my email one more time. Email me if you want in on the first round draft challenge charity fundraiser. It requires a $5 donation to enter it. So just send me an email. It's right there on the screen right now. So if you want to check that out, just please hit me up over there. Bill, we appreciate you for jumping on here. So just one quick more time, man, plug your stuff before we get out of here.
Absolutely. So you can find me over on X at Spark Scouting, as well as a writer and analyst for the Right Way Sports Network. That's TWSN.net. Odds are by the time this comes out on Monday, my final mock 5.0 will have hit the streets. So please check that out. Tell me how wrong I am. Let's come talk. Yeah. Let's chop it up like draft, just like me and Jacob did tonight.
Just tell us why we're stupid. We love you guys. Draft is now 10 days away. 10 days away when you guys are seeing this. So appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you guys again next week. As always,